Welcome everyone to round 2 of November 18th Gundam card game night over at Bulldog Community Gaming LLC. If you guys are looking for a place to play some Gundam card game action, check out Bulldog Community Gaming LLC in Brownsburg, Indiana, Tuesday nights, 6:30, $5 entries, as well as if you guys want to catch some Gundam card game action live as it is happening, check the links down in the description below for Bulldog's Facebook and Twitch page where you guys can catch this Gundam card game action live as it is happening. Once again, Tuesday nights, 6:30. We got 2 new decks for you all here. I again am playing Zeon Aggro in my round 2 matchup. I will lose to it because my opponent decided to get the nuts hand and I couldn't see a thing to save me. So nonetheless, let's see what our 2 opponents are playing in this best of 1 30-minute match. So both our opponents are completely set up for the game here. Let's see what they're going to do. Looks like we have the left side going first here, as the right side is just going to flip over 1 resource and then pass. And it looks like the left side is just going to do over the same as well. And it looks like, of course, on the right side, we have good old Zeon Aggro with a Zaku 2 and a Gun-Take coming down with a Rick Dias coming down as well. That will be pretty important because that Zeon Zaku 2 is going to have to kill off that Rick Dias in battle, as that's the only thing we could do here. Is we do have a Char in hand as well, as we have some very interesting plays to go. We do have a Rick Dom, a Char. It looks like we have the +K base as well. We're going to go for the Zaku 2. Ooh, no block on the Zaku 2. Okay, so that will knock out the EX base here. Again, the Rick Dias would die to the Zaku 2 because it does get the +2 AP when attacking. As we're going to go for a Rick Dom and then a Zaku 2. The Zaku 2 that came out of GDO1. Again, you can play both of those Zaku 2. There's no restrictions on playing card names no restriction for playing the exact same unit with the exact same card name. Anyways, because they both have different effects. One's a vanilla, one is got an extra AP. So anyways, we're going for a 𝐒𝐓𝐾 Ace or 𝐒𝐓𝐾 Ace to come down. We're going to make the 4-2 Toggies, where of course we're going to take the life. So there is our 4-2 Toggies as well. So right now we have a white-blue strategy. I'm not completely sure what type of full-on strategy we have with white-blue, but we know we got a white-blue strategy against a Zeon Aggro strategy, so green-blue. So this could be freedom blockers. It could be, I would guess maybe it's like a white-blue freedom blockers build, but we haven't seen like any of the big mobile suits just yet. I would guess that is what it is. It is going to be freedom blockers against a Zeon Aggro, which again, blockers against a Zeon Aggro isn't too bad, because again, in my opinion, I've always felt that Zeon Aggro has one problem, is that you seem to burn out of your hand very fast, very quick sometimes. That it always kind of feels like that to me. So anyways, we do have this Rick Dom, which is pretty nice because we do have the breach on it as well. And the Toggies isn't something we can that can block. So we're going to go for Char to swing at the base here to just knock it out immediately. Because again, he does get that addition. Not exactly sure. I guess no, you do get that additional AP there. So that immediately was able to knock out the base there. We're going to go for the gun cannon to hit an L strike out of the shields there, which is pretty nasty there. And then we're going to go for the Zaku 2. We're just being hyper aggressive here, forcing our opponents. We see an Amore bouncing the hand off of these shields. Ooh, not something you want to see, but again, they do need the OG Papa Gundam to do anything really with that. Again, they could attach it to other things, like they could attach it to the Toggies and do stuff with that as well. But again, you typically want to attach it to an OG. So anyways, we're going to go for a 𝐒𝐓𝐾 base here to then take 1 life. And then we're going to put out our own 4-2 Toggies onto the board, which is pretty nice. Okay, so just so you know, that is a 4-2 Toggies. They just happen to be using the Sword Strike Gundam as a token. So they're just going to flip it about upside down to represent that. It's meant to be a 4-2 Toggies. They're just using it for the stat line. That is not a Sword Strike Gundam coming down off from that 𝐒𝐓𝐾 base. So the Toggies is going to kill off the Rick Dom here, and my opponent's just going to give them their version of the Toggies just so that we have a correct version of the token onto the board here. So anyways, that still leaves a gun cannon. That still leaves a Zaku 2. By the way, that Dice does have 1 damage point, and I know that dice is really confusing because it's very clear, so you can see the 6 and the 1 together. There's only 1 damage on that. So we're just going to crack into the gun tank here, knocking into another one. We're going to go for OG Papa Gundam. We're going to kill off the Zaku 2, and then we basically just heal 2 off that board. So that armor raid bouncing back to hand was very good there. Again, the problem is that this Toggies cannot actually kill off that OG Papa Gundam without getting additional AP, because again, the OG Papa Gundam is a 5/5 right now, which is really nice. And again, that Rick Dias does have 2 does have 2 damage on it as well, but the Tuggies can tend to go swing at the shields here. So we're just going to go for the 𝐒𝐓𝐃𝐄 to knock out the 𝐕𝐃. I guess maybe there could have been a point of swinging in the Tuggies to hit the OG Papa Gundam and then use the 𝐒𝐓𝐃𝐄 to then hit the OG Papa Gundam there and then knocking it out. There could be that as well instead of going for the blocker. But again, it's great. We are playing blue, white-blue freedom blockers. So anyways, we're just going to go for a 𝐕𝐃. We're just going to go for the 𝐒𝐓𝐃 2. So yeah, we are definitely playing, as I thought, white-blue freedom blockers. We're going to go for the Tuggies to deal 4 damage to the OG Papa Gundam. Again, we will be able to heal 2 of that damage off and go just have 2 damage points on that as well. So, but again, a lot of things can kill that. That 𝐕𝐃 can kill OG Papa Gundam here because it will not heal enough damage to where the 𝐕𝐃 𝐕𝐃 can kill. But anyways, we're just going to throw down the L-Strike. We are going to throw down the Rift. It does suck that we don't have the a pilot for the L-Strike here. We're going to go for the Amuro to rest the L-Strike, and then we're just going to put down an Amuro under the 𝐒𝐓𝐃, rest basically both our blockers under the 𝐕𝐃 and all that, and that is just going to be a quick old game right there. So what they did is that they put an Amuro under the 𝐕𝐃, Amuro on the 𝐒𝐓𝐃, rest the 2 blockers, swing in for the rest of the game, unless there was a base to save there. There wasn't. So again, that's just the power of Zeon Aggro, in my opinion. That's what it does best. It just aggroes you down to death. And I think, like, no deck really, unless you see a good, stable line. Like, I think Freedom blockers and I think Wing can play it, but you need to see the blocker lines right. And you don't need your opponent not to have the nuts. Again, maybe Amuro really is the problem in that deck strategy because, again, it just makes the deck so much powerful, and it does alleviate the fact that we have blockers as well. So it just kind of removes all the blockers off of the board and kind of turns into this game of like the player playing against Zeon Aggro a lot of times has to kind of trade into the bodies. But Zeon Aggro, in my opinion, also comes with a big caveat. Your opponent basically can have the potential of running out of cards very fast, very quick, even though it is in blue, so you do have the ability to go a show of resolve to draw 2. That still doesn't help you against when you're spamming out so many bodies to try to deal with, to quickly punch your opponent in the face. If your opponent can set up enough anti-waste to remove your bodies, it doesn't really matter because just going to remove that as well. And I do think like a ping strategy like Cyber New type can still deal with Zeon Aggro very easily because there's just enough ping in Cyber New type to or like red blue Cyber New type to really be able to deal with Zeon Aggro. But nonetheless, I know a lot of people don't like that Zeon Aggro exists because it's just a hyper aggro strategy that unless you see the right hand and your opponent sees the nuts hand and you're dead, like I went into with mine, where I didn't see a very good hand at all to deal with a Zeon Aggro strategy, and my opponent just saw the nuts and spilled the nuts all over the place. And this looks like the same case for the Freedom blockers, though they did have 2 blockers up. They could have survived if our opponent didn't have 2 Amuro to play under cards. So I know people really want Amuro, I think, gone from the game 100%, or at least had made him a link pilot. And he probably needs to get an errata to become a link pilot where he can only really link to OG Papa Gundam, and then he can rest stuff. So it really makes him a lot less powerful than him just be a generic when paired rest a dude. I think that could definitely help with Amuro as well. But you guys let me know your thoughts down in the comments below on green, blue, Zeon Aggro, and white, blue Freedom blockers. What are your thoughts overall on Zeon Aggro or 1 Year War, depending on who you ask? And your thoughts on Amuro being broken, your thoughts overall on this deck still being very much potent in this current metagame. Have you guys tried out that deck? What are your thoughts overall on it? As well as what are your thoughts on the white blue Freedom blockers? I really still like this deck. I think this deck is a lot of fun. It just takes some setup time because you need to get up to the necessary resources to go for that setup play so you can start dropping your freedoms and start really spamming out all your blockers and stuff. But I still think it's a lot of fun deck to play around with. And of course, there are different ways to build it. You have that blue-white package like we saw here, or you can play like an Academy build where you run more Academy stuff in the deck, but you still run maybe like a blue engine in there as well, or maybe you just run straight white. So there's a couple ways to build it. But while you're letting me know that all down in the comments, do make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell so you can be notified when my videos go live for you, and we'll see you next time. I'm Mom Dragons TCG.